Hello, everybody in Parent University. My name is Josh Oakes, and I'm so honored today to be able to talk with you about some really fun topics that help you be a better digital parent. So what I want to do is talk to you here today about some digital parenting tactics live in Facebook. Today we have Maryellen Mullin, and she is a licensed marriage and family therapist in the San Francisco area. Maryellen, welcome to the video.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here and talk to your parents.
So you have 5 tips, and I met you yesterday, full disclosure, and I loved your tips so much, especially one of them that I think is so relevant that I had to have you on here today. Your first tip, you say, for parents in a digital age, raising your kids in a positive way is be curious. What do you mean by that, and how can parents be curious?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So when I have parents come to my office, a lot of them are just upset. They're upset about what their kids have done, where their kids have been online, reading things that their kids have been involved in terms of chats. And I really try to help parents shift a mindset instead of being upset to be curious. Why? When? Where? To get their kids talking, because once they're upset, they shut the whole thing down and kids feel a lot of shame. So as a parent, the best thing you can do is be curious and actually, I think, almost be astonished, like, wow, this is so different. I need to know more. And if you can approach it from I need to know more and not I'm going to be angry about this,
Yeah.
you're really going to connect before you correct, right? So you've got to connect with kids before you correct them.
I love that. Connect before you correct. I'm writing that down.
Connect before you correct.
You're full of little nuggets.
Well, that I have to say I learned from a good friend of mine, a psychiatrist here in the Bay Area, Daniel Amina, who's an MD. And I love, he presented for me at a parenting symposium a few years ago, and he said, connect before you correct.
Yeah.
So important.
So true. We're going to talk about Dale Carnegie in a minute, one of your other tips, who taught me as a young person to do the same thing. Connect before you correct. One of your other tips is very much in line with him. Next, you say, number 2, eat dinner. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Oh, this is so important. So first of all, there's a lot of research about what eating dinner together does, aside from technology. It helps kids lower their risk factors for getting involved with drugs, to eat more healthy food. It builds their vocabulary. So all that aside, that's great. But the biggest thing it does is it models how to stay connected and be together, because we're here to attach and connect. And when your kids go somewhere online, they're not connecting with a human being. And we learn best when we're in attached relationships, meaning when we're together, when we're talking, when our brain is fully engaged and active. So eating dinner together is one of the best opportunities you have during your day, which actually research has shown may take your stress level down after your long work day, to really be with your kids and experience them. And, sometimes it's hard to experience your kids at dinner, but you just grow through that together. And the more you do it, the better off you are. So most of the research is saying more than 3 times a week. It's
more than 3 times a week, eat dinner with your kids around a dinner table. Let's add to that real quick. Any tactical tips parents can use on where to put their cell phone? Is it hide it in a jar, put it on silent? What do you do?
This is a great time to charge your phone. So, everyone's phone dies early. So just think of it as like, let's go dock it in a charging station. I would suggest in a completely different room.
Yeah.
Totally on silent. What I like to do is I like to go into silent mode when I get home. So I've programmed my phone to turn the ringer off when I get home. And then when it occurs to me after dinner, after the dishes, I wonder if I have any messages, then I will look. So the best thing for me is sort of out of sight, out of mind. And that tends to work best for the families I work with. And most of the teens actually appreciate the fact that their parents are like, just give us your phone. Everyone's charging their phone. What the kids don't like is actually when they are being forced to charge and dock their phone and the parents are checking their phones throughout dinner. So I think just, making it rule for all at dinner time is really important.
Yeah, I think that's so that was eat dinner together. So true. Next one, you say, this is my favorite tip. Everybody that's watching right now, this is the one that blew me away. Be the driver for your kids and their friends. What do you mean?
That's right. Be the driver. If you want to be in the know and your kids are not talking to you, which Probably they're not.
Yeah.
You volunteer to drive as much as you can. You drive to school, you do the pickup, especially for teenagers, being there in the afternoon. I've got a couple parents that are so savvy, they figured out how to pick up and drop off from like school to sports or school to the tutor. And they offer to drive other kids. And so they just listen and they pick up on so much. They also offer to drive to the party. They check out the neighborhood. They do the pickup at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning because it's so important for them to understand where their kids go and also drive everyone else's kids. Because if you want to hear what's going on, just put a few kids in the back seat. You will hear everything that's going on.
My favorite tip right there. Just put some kids in the back seat and be silent and just drive. Act like you're an Uber driver. Just sit in the front.
Don't say anything. Just listen. Have a good time.
None of your business, and just listen. And that goes into one of our other tips that we're going to talk about later. But we're always telling parents, hey, don't comment or like on your students' stuff. Just listen and be a passive observer, right? Trust is plus verify. And that's what you're teaching them how to do, is just to be a part of that. That's really wonderful. Okay, your fourth tip for us today.
Self-censor too.
What's that?
I want to say kids self-censor. So they're also like catching themselves, which is way better than you pointing something out. Especially in the car.
Yeah, that's really great. Then your fourth tip is parent in a pact with a pact. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so this was something years ago. I had this amazing mom in my practice working with her, and she said, you know what I do? I parent in a pact. I said, what is that about? She went and she got to know the other parents of the kids her kid was hanging out with. And then she said, I think we should make a pact together so we can get through middle and high school. And that's what they've done. They're now out of high school, but through all of these years, they had each other's phones. If one kid was at a party and wasn't answering a parent, because we all know this happens, she would text another parent who would text their kid, who would, in like 3 minutes, her kid would be calling her home. So I think when you parent in a pact and you have that support, when you have anxiety about what your kid is doing or where they are, one of the worst things you can do is put that anxiety on the kid, because then you're sending the message that they're inferior and you don't trust them, especially adolescents and teenagers. The best thing you can do is like have a parenting friend who you can call up and say, I don't know, I'm kind of worried about this. What do you think? Oh, our kids are together in this place. And then if you all agree that as adults, you're not going to sort of give it away, meaning that you share some information with each other, you make sure that kids are safe, the parent is dropping your kid off, they text the whole group and say, hey, it looks like a pretty safe neighborhood, looks like kids going in are from the high school, they are the people that said we're going to be there, then you don't feel as anxious and you're not going to grill your kid. The worst thing you can do is grill your kid. I mean, if you want to grill your kid, just get in the car and go pick everyone up and be the driver, right?
Yeah, that's another, well, you're adding great layers of alternative behaviors to what we want to do. That's really great. So that's parent with a pact. That's your tip number 4. Tip number 5, use tech together, talk and plan. Talk to us about that.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the biggest secret I've learned in doing this for a decade, which is this around technology. I have a lot of parents who do not struggle. And these are the parents who really talk to their kids about technology. They understand technology. They're using it with them. Okay, they're looking at it. They're talking about it. It's not a taboo subject. It's not oh, I don't know what the kids are doing, or I don't know how to use an iPhone, or I don't know how to use an app. And then they are making rules, like agreements about how screens and tech is used in the home, and also what happens if their kid goes too far with a conversation online, anything like that. And these parents stick to reasonable rules that they've all agreed to about their device use with their kids and really with themselves as well. And they are having way fewer problems. It's not the topic all the time in the family. Instead, they go deeper. They can talk about friendships and relationships, and then their kids are, their reference point is different. So if you know how to use Snapchat and your kid's like, oh my gosh, this thing happened on Snapchat, this kid live streamed, going off at this party about X, Y, and Z, you know exactly what they're talking about. And so you have a point of reference. So these are the parents that are not struggling, the ones who are learning, using tech together, having a plan, having rules, and enforcing them, because your kids want you to enforce the rules that they can't. kids do not have a built-in like switch of self-control yet. And
Yeah.
the number one predictor of success is self-control. And so sometimes, if you handed your kid 10 candy bars and you were like, just eat one, go ahead, just eat one.
Yeah.
What teenager is really just going to sit there looking at 10 candy bars and just eat one? And that's what we do with technology. We know in the brain it's like a drug. It gives the same pleasure responses.
Yep.
And so it's very hard to put it down when you've been experiencing a lot of pleasure around it. So that's why the kids need us. They need us to say, turn it off. It's
Yep.
time for bed. It's time for homework. And we do have to help regulate. And then over time, as their brain develops, they will learn how to self-regulate themselves.
That's really, really great parenting advice. It's also, you and I talked a little bit yesterday about loving your kid doesn't mean you're worried about them really liking you. You may make tough decisions. Your kids may dislike you for a moment, and that is really healthy. It means you're laying down the law. A lot of parents that I talk with as I travel the country, they go, oh, I don't want to know that. I'm not allowed to know the passcode to my kid's phone. That's their privacy. Did you buy the phone? Yes.
Exactly.
Are they 12? Do you think that they have the mental stability to know all the wisdom you do? Well, no, probably not, right? You need to know what's going on in there. I love what you said. One more thing that I'm going to leave everybody with, Dale Carnegie taught me at a young age through his books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. One of my favorite books ever. I read it at a young age, and he really teaches people how to say, at that age, or if I were in your situation and brought up in that area or whatever, I probably would behave in a similar manner. And that is one of the few things that really keeps me from wanting to judge people. And sure, I do end up judging them in a kind way and talking with them about it, but that's kept me cool-headed about when I'm talking with people that might not see what we want to do on a wise scale and stuff. So something that also kind of works with kids. Hey, perhaps I would see it the same way if I didn't know that too. Let's talk about it through. Let's connect before we correct. I love that phrase.
That's such a great tip.
So we looked at being curious, eating dinner together, be the driver. My favorite tip, put a bunch of kids in the back of the car and just listen, be passive. Parent in a pact. With a pact, go talk directly with parents and say, hey, our kids are hanging out together. Why don't we get each other's cell phone numbers and so that we can know what's going on? And then use tech together, talk and plan. And then students really want you to kind of set the boundaries because they might not have that wise thing. This has been so much fun. You are just you're full of nuggets.
This is great, Josh. So are you. And I'm really enjoying this. It's awesome.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate all that you're doing. And those of you that are watching right now, you may be in Parent University watching this. You may be on our blog watching it on YouTube long after this event is over. We want to let you know a couple things. One, as we've already talked with Maryellen, be where your kids are at this fall. Make sure you get on Snapchat. We have what's called the green zone, the gray zone, and the red zone. The red zone's full of predators and anonymous behavior. That is a place that you've got to look at so that you know that your students shouldn't be on that. Ask FM is one of them, and students are dying to know what those apps are so that you can tell them, hey, let's move into the gray zone or the green zone. The gray zone's where Snapchat's at. It is where you need to hang out. The family time can happen in the gray zone, but anything less than wise behavior can turn into something dangerous. The green zone, as many of you know, it doesn't mean that the internet is a safe place. You still have to be a little bit wise, have that dialogue. But the green zone is where colleges want and expect you to be someday. And it's where they want to discover you, and then all of a sudden you're paving a resume, a portfolio of positive behaviors. Please, this fall, this summer, please make sure you're online with your students. You're doing a little bit of learning on Snapchat, on Instagram. Please do not find yourself saying, oh, technology, I'm just not good with it. Just a little bit of work, just a few of our videos, just 10 minutes once a week or just once a month, you can become awesome on Snapchat. It's not that hard. And then hopefully someday your students will come to you and say, hey, I saw something bad online. Mom, Dad, I want to tell you about it, because you kind of understand a little bit about how this app works, right? And that's truly our goal, is that you are approachable by your students. I'm on a tirade, an awesome little thing, but I'm pumped up. So thank you very much, Maryellen, for being with us here today.
Oh, such a pleasure. I can't wait. We'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks to all of you for watching. We'll see you again soon. You can learn more at safesmartsocial.com. Maryellen's link is also below this in the blog post, and a link to her website so you can go learn more about her. I'll see you guys all soon. Have a wonderful day. Take care.